What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've sat down and recorded a video, but I promise you we are back officially. This is as teams break into spring practices, spring games right around the corner. This is my pre-spring game top 25. I'm sorry for the long pause in between videos. I have been busy. I've been trying to figure out life. And okay, I'll admit I've been lazy at times. But no worries, I am back. This is my top 25 as we sit here right now, heading into 2023-2024. And if you want to see me preview and predict all 133 teams starting in June or July this college football season, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, share the video. Anything you can to help support the channel does mean a lot to me. Gotta drink water as well. Remember to stay hydrated. Let's dive in to my top 25. Every good top 25 needs a couple honorable mentions. I'll run through these really quickly. Out of the Pac-12 conference, you got Colorado, who's going to be in year one of Deion Sanders, and UCLA there as well. Looking to fill the hole of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Otherwise, a lot of really talented players on that team. Out of the Big 12, you got Oklahoma in year two of Brent Venables, and the final year that Oklahoma has in the Big 12. I just don't trust them right now. That's why they just missed. Kansas gets Jalen Daniels back and a lot of really talented players there as well. They're going to make another surprising run in the Big 12. Out of the SEC, you got Mississippi State, who returns Will Rogers among some other talent. Arkansas, who's going to be a very talented team next year. And Texas A&M, they get Bobby Petrino in to be a coordinator. And could he be the solution to Texas A&M's problems and what's a do-or-die season for Jimbo Fisher? Miami kind of got the same thing right now with Mario Cristobal at the helm of that team. Disappointment from last year, but some good talent. We'll see what they can do with it. Nebraska, they got Matt Rule in at their first year. We'll see what the Huskers with a very talented roster are able to do and what's going to be a very good Big Ten next year. And then out of the group of five, you got UTSA, who returns Frank Harris for another season. Boise State, who's going to be the cream of the crop in the Mountain West, and Troy looking to repeat as Sun Belt Conference champions. Troy had a phenomenal season last year. They will do so again next year. Breaking in, though, to my actual top 25 is Wisconsin. I'll be going through the teams, doing a quick overview of who left, who's coming in, and who they got. So, for Wisconsin, well, for starters, they got a new head coach in Luke Fickell. Tanner Mordecai is there at quarterback now, a transfer in coming over from SMU. And you got a lot of talent in that running back room. Braylon Allen, Ches Malusi are coming back, along with some underrated wide receivers. Skylar Bell, Chamari DK, but you lose a lot off of that defense here. Cedric Dort, Jay Shaw, John Torchio, Justin Clark, all names that are gone out of the secondary. Of course, Keanu Benton and Nick Herbig are gone off the defensive front. Look, this team, this Wisconsin defense exemplifies the next man up as much as any other defense in the entire country. There's a lot of great talent here. CJ Getz, the redshirt senior, is coming back. He's going to be a huge part of that defense. And if we know teams that have been coached by Luke Fickell, it's that it's a defense comes first team, and this team has a lot of talent offensively, especially with Tanner Mordecai at quarterback and with the running back room as well. Luke Fickell's got a lot to work with here in Madison. I'm expecting a really good season out of the Wisconsin Badgers. They are here at number 25. The Iowa Hawkeyes are here at number 24. If you want to flip Wisconsin, Iowa, I got no problem with that. Again, this is just my list. Whoa. My apologies. Don't quite know what happened there. I turned into a ghost for a hot second, but I think we fixed it. All right, let's go ahead and continue. God, I still look like a little bit of a ghost there. All right, that's a little better. My apologies. I don't know what happened there. The Iowa Hawkeyes are here at number 24. You got Cade McNamara transferring in to quarterback this team. Eric All transfers over with him at the tight end position after they lose Sam Laporta. Seth Anderson transfers in at the wide receiver position, along with returning leading receiver Nico Reganey. Well, at least besides Sam Laporta leading the wide receiver groups last year. And even though Brian Ferentz is still the offensive coordinator for this team, I like what the Hawkeyes have on the offensive side. And I think the offense is going to be better in 2023. As far as their defense, well, you lose a lot. Luke Van Ness, Jack Campbell, Kevon Merriweather, Riley Moss, among some other guys. But again, what do we expect from Iowa normally? A really, really good defense. I think they'll have one again in 2023-2024. And the Iowa Hawkeyes, I think can be in contention yet again for a spot in their third straight Big Ten championship game. Looking here at number 23, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I firmly believe that there is a Big 12 contender in Lubbock, Texas. You heard me right. Big 12 contender. Tyler Shuck is going to be quarterbacking this team. He's a former transfer over from Oregon. You lose Roderick Thompson, but hey, Taj Brooks and Cameron Valdez are back at the running back position. Luke Fuanji is coming back. Xavier White is back. As long as Miles Price at the wide receiver position. And defense, man, you got a lot of big holes to fill, some big shoes to fill with Tyree Wilson being gone. But still a lot of talent and a lot of experience on this defense is going to lead the way for Texas Tech. I believe they have just a stupid amount of experience back on this defense. Texas Tech is going to make a name for themselves in 2023. And I got them sitting here at number 23. Ole Miss is sitting at number 22. They get a transfer quarterback in as well, Spencer Sanders, who is going to end up fighting Jackson Dart for that starting quarterback position. Quinshon Judkins is back at the running back position. And even though you do lose Zach Evans, Ulysses Bentley is going to be right there to clean things up. In the wide receiver room, well, Jonathan Mingo, Malik Heath are gone. But when you take a look elsewhere, hey, Jordan Watkins, J.J. Henry, among some others, are back at the wide receiver position. On the defensive side, this defense just keeps getting better and better year after year. They're going to need some players to step up, though, as they do lose guys like Troy Brown, Reese Otis, A.J. Finley, among some other names that are transferring out of this program. But you still got Ladarius Tennyson, Isheem Young in the secondary, DeAndre Prince, and Kari Coleman at the linebacker position. My apologies, DeAndre Prince, more of a corner than a linebacker. My apologies there. This is definitely a really interesting Ole Miss team, which, again, I think Lane Kiffin's going to have this team ready to play entering 2023. Had to take a little sip of water, and we're back. South Carolina is here at number 21. Spencer Sanders is back for yet another season to quarterback the South Carolina Gamecocks. And even though you do lose some guys on the offensive skill core, I think this team is going to be just fine, right? Mario Anderson is transferring in at running back. He's a senior transfer. I can't remember out of where. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm just not placing it. Anyway, Juju McDowell back there at running back as well. You lose Josh Vann and Jalen Brooks out of the wide receiver realm. But taking a look at Antoine Wells, Xavier Legette, they're coming back at the wide receiver position. On the defensive end, lots of talent leaving. Darius Rush, Zach Pickens, and most notably, that nickelback and corner, Cam Smith. He was phenomenal for this South Carolina team. But you know what? A lot of talent here. There's a good amount of seniority mixed with a good amount of youth and a lot of hype surrounding freshman linebacker Grayson Howard. He looks to be a really big part to this Gamecock defense as Shane Beamer has this team rolling. We'll see what Spencer Rattler, he's got a couple transfers that he can play with on the offensive end and on defense as well. A lot of experience coming in for this group. So we'll see what South Carolina is able to do here in 2023. All right, heading on up now to the top 20. At number 20, this is where I've placed the Kansas State Wildcats. Now, let's take a look at what Kansas State is losing, right? And it'll make sense why we're looking at this now, right? Deuce Vaughn is gone. Adrian Martinez is gone. Malik Knowles is gone. Cade Warner is gone. That's off of the offensive end. I'm going to butcher this name, so I apologize, but defensive end, Felix Anuduke Uzama is gone, as well as Eli Huggins and Jalen Pickle, Josh Hayes, Julius Brents, and a couple other guys gone off the defensive end. The question for this Kansas State team that I've seen floating around is, do they have the top-level talent? Well, Will Howard is back at quarterback, and he showed flashes last year of being a really, really good player. Trayshawn Ward is transferring in from Florida State. That's going to be a huge get for the Kansas State Wildcats. When you take a look elsewhere, Phillip Brooks, RJ Garcia are coming back. And then you got Keegan Johnson transferring in at the wide receiver position on the defensive end. A lot of transfers coming in, right? Will Lee, Marquez Sigil, Rex Van Wy, and then Javon Banks are all transfers right now on ourlads.com, slated to start for this team next year. Otherwise, you got guys like Kobe Savage, Jacob Parrish, Khalid Duke, among some other names back for this team. Again, the question still lies of, do they have that top-level talent to get them back to a Big 12 championship game? And I think that this team has the potential to have that. We'll find out if they really have that here as spring training gets underway. The Tulane Green Wave are the one and only Group of 5 team you are going to see ranked on this list because, in my opinion, they are far and away the favorites to get back to a New Year's Six bowl game out of the Group of 5 spot, especially because you got Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, and UCF joining the ranks of the Big 12. So the American Conference, definitely a battle between Tulane and UTSA, who's going to be joining the American this year. But looking at what Tulane has, right? Well, hey, let's look at what you lose. You lose Tajee Spears, you lose Deuce Watts, you lose Shea Wyatt. But on the offensive end, Michael Pratt comes back. There's a lot of young talent in that running back room ready to emerge. And then the wide receiver room, Lawrence Keys, the former Notre Dame transfer, comes back, as well as Dante Fleming is transferring in. On the defensive end, a lot of guys leaving that defensive back seven, including Dorian Williams, Lumi Young, Macon Clark, among some other names as well. But A.J. Hampton is transferring in to play that nickel position, seemingly for the Tulane Green Wave. And you have a lot of other phenomenal names here highlighting the rest of the defensive unit. This team, in my opinion, is far and away the favorites to be the representative out of the Group of 5 to make it to a New Year's Six bowl game. I really like what Tulane has, and I think they will make it back to a New Year's Six bowl game, at least as I sit here talking to all you fine people right now. They're at number 19. Number 18 is North Carolina, and they got one of the premier players in all college football quarterbacking this team. It is none other than redshirt sophomore Drake May. He was phenomenal last year, and I think he'll be even better in 2023, which is saying a lot. Some guys around him are going to be Elijah Green. He's coming back in the running back room, and even though he loses Antoine Green and Josh Downs, those are some big shoes to fill. Kobe Paysor and company are going to be looking to fill those shoes as such. When you look at the defensive end, Cedric Gray and Noah Taylor are gone, but a lot of talent still here and a lot of experienced talent in that defensive front seven. When you look in the defensive backs, you got some experience mixed with some freshman guys there as well. Miles Murphy comes back. You got guys like Lejon Cavazos coming back. He was a former Ohio State transfer, among some other names that I could list here as well. But a lot of North Carolina, and that's what led this team last year. Questions on the defensive end will be answered. That is my belief. I think this defense will be better than it was last year. But can Drake May continue his play from last year, lead this team to an ACC title game, possibly a playoff berth, and even for himself, a Heisman Trophy? That is the big question to answer. Is Texas back? Well, I'm kind of done asking that question because, well, the situation changes year after year, right? Ignoring that question, let's look at what Texas lost and what they do have. Arch Manning is coming in for the Texas Longhorns. He will be battling Quinn Ewers for that starting quarterback spot. In the running back room, you lose Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson, two phenomenal players, but Jonathan Brooks and a lot of other young talent looks to lead a young running back room. You got a lot of experience, though, in that wide receiver room. Just looking up and down here, Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Nair, Jordan Whittington, and then Adonai Mitchell transferring into this team. This is going to be a really, really talented wide receiver room here in 2023. But again, my question with Texas offensively is, can Quinn Ewers stay healthy? Or if Arch Manning really is that guy, is he all that? Is he what he is hyped up to be, right? Taking a look on the defensive side, and wow, there is a lot of nice talent coming in here. Let's look at what they lose, though. Keandre Coburn, Diamante Tucker-Dorsey, DeMarvion Overshone, Deshaun Jameson, among some other names. There's going to be a lot of freshmen waiting in the wings of this Texas defense, but Anthony Hill, a really talented freshman, looks to make his mark early on. Other than that, let's look at who all they have coming back. Terrence Brooks comes back, Byron Murphy. I'm kind of going to jump all over the place, so my apologies. But Byron Murphy is coming back. Baron Sorrell looks to slot into that jack position. Terrence Brooks. Jalen Catalong is a transfer coming in. Ryan Watts is back. This is a very, very talented Texas team that I feel can make a run in their final season as a member of the Big 12 Conference. This is a team that absolutely can go win themselves a conference championship, as the Big 12 looks to be in a year again where it is a wide open conference. How about the Oregon State Beavers, huh? They got a huge get in the transfer portal in DJ Uiagalelei that is going to be quarterbacking this team. Now, say what you want about DJ Uiagalelei and how well he plays, how not well he plays, whatever may have you, he is by far and away an upgrade from whatever Oregon State had last season. You return Damian Martinez. He was a phenomenal running back for this team last year. And there is some unknown in the wide receiver position. Mainly that goes to to speak of the quarterback play from last year. But there are some names here in this wide receiver room that I think you got to watch out for. Anthony Gold can be really good. John Dunmore. And then there's a freshman back there in Montrell Hatton that is going to play some minutes for him as well. You lose a lot off of that defense. Just a couple names to throw out there. Isaac Hodgins, Jack Coletto, who kind of played football for this team, didn't really stay at the linebacker position, kind of moved around a whole lot. You got a couple of transfers and a freshman by the name of Kelsey Howard in there as well. And looking up and down this defense, it's a very experienced defensive unit. So defense, I think, is going to improve for Oregon State this year, but the main thing that's going to improve is this passing game, thanks to the like of DJ Uiagalelei coming into town. As we enter the top 15 here, we see the first playoff team from a season ago, the TCU Horned Frogs. What is life going to be like without Max Duggan? Well, it's not going to be as unknown as you think, because you do have Chandler Morris back there quarterbacking the team. He was the starter last year until Max Duggan kind of entered himself in and shoved Chandler Morris to the sideline. So we'll see what Chandler Morris does now with a pretty much guaranteed full season as the starting quarterback. Taking a look elsewhere, though, this team lost a lot. 3 offensive linemen, Quentin Johnson, Tay Barber, Darius Davis off the wide receiver position, and their top 2 running backs in Amari DiMercado and Kendre Miller. Oh boy, that is a lot gone on offense, not to mention what's gone off defense. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, Noah Daniels, D. Winters, Dylan Horton, Terrell Cooper, some other names as well. This team, it is very hard to see them making another run at a national championship here in 2023. But let's look at what they do have surrounding Chandler Morris on offense. Trent Battle and Amani Bailey look to lead that rushing attack. And in the wide receiver room, you have Savion Williams among a lot of experienced seniors slated to start for this Horned Frogs team. On the defensive side, though, Johnny Hodges comes back. Bud Clark comes back. He was a really good defensive back for TCU last year. He returns. And there are a lot of senior, junior transfers, or I should say former transfers, that are going to slot up and slot into positions here for the Horned Frogs team. Sonny Dykes has proven himself, though, that he can contend at the highest level. TCU won a lot of close games last year. We'll see if they can keep that script this year, or if things are going to change for the Horned Frogs in 2022. Maybe Chandler Morris can lead them to a Big 12 title and yet another playoff appearance. Taking a look at the team, we got at number 14, the Clemson Tigers, and it's time for Cade Klubnik to take over. He will be that starting quarterback for the Tigers in 2023. Taking a look at what is around him, you still got Will Shipley and Phil Maffa there at the running back position, and even though Joseph Ngata is gone off of that wide receiver group, well, Antonio Williams, Bo Collins, and others return for the Tigers. But there's a lot more gone off this defense than there is off the offense. Trenton Simpson, Brian Brzee, Miles Murphy, some huge names leaving this Clemson team. But, hey, Tyler Davis and Xavier Thomas are coming back on that defensive line. When you take a look at some linebackers, Jeremiah Trotter, Barrett Carter, those guys are coming back. And in the secondary, this is where things really get good. A lot of experience here with 3 grad students, Sheridian Jones, Jalen Phillips, and Malcolm Green, set to lead this secondary for Clemson. Dabo Swinney definitely has some things to work out. definitely some things that maybe aren't going to sit quite right in 20 or that don't sit quite right from last year coming into 2023. But Cade Klubnik, if he can live up to expectations and this defense can, well, be what Clemson defense has been for so long, this team is going to contend in the ACC, no questions asked. The Tennessee Volunteers are here at number 13. And yes, you do lose Hendon Hooker along with a lot of talent off the wide receiver position, mainly Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman. But Joe Milton might have the biggest arm in all of college football entering 2023, and Jabari Small and Jalen Wright are still back in that running back room. As far as what you do return out of the wide receiver room, well, you got a couple freshmen waiting back there. But, hey, Brew McCoy comes back, probably going to end up being that lead receiver. If not, it'll be Squirrel White, who also returns for this Volunteer team. When you look at the defense, a lot of talent leaving here as well. Trayvon Flowers, Byron Young, Jeremy Banks, and Latrell Bumpus are all gone. But taking a look at what they do have on this defense, a lot of experience, a couple transfers coming in, and Keenan Pilley and Gabe Judy Lawley. Jalen McCullough returns for this team as well. That cornerback Slaughter returns as well. A couple players in the front seven, Roman Harrison, Omari Thomas, Tyler Barron, among some other names back there as well. Again, I could sit here and list names all day. But this Tennessee team is going to be dangerous again in 2023. It's going to be led by Joe Milton. We'll see what this defense is going to be able to do for the Volunteers this year. But Joe Milton, as long as that arm is still a cannon, Tennessee's got a shot to really contend in the SEC East, especially with what Georgia is losing off of that team from last year. As we're getting here to Pac-12, as we're rounding out here the bottom 15, two Pac-12 teams round out the ranks before we get into my top 10. That's Utah at number 12, and to the surprise of many, Cam Rising announces that he will be back. Tavion Thomas is going to be back in the backfield as well, and you still got the best tight end duo in the nation together with Dalton Kincaid and Brant Keithy. Devon Vele and Solomon Ennis return at the wide receiver position, and on defense, yeah, there's still a lot coming back here. Clark Phillips figures to be a draft pick, though, but you still got a lot of talented guys on this defense coming back. Yet, that's where the big question lies, though, right? Can this Utah defense fill the gaps it has with Clark Phillips among some other names that are going to be leaving this team? That is the big question for Utah coming in. That's the big question for Kyle Whittingham is, can this Utah team fill in the gaps on the defensive end? I think the offense is going to be there with all the talent that's within Cam Rising and all the skill players around him. Can the defense slot in and play an aggressive style that we saw from Utah just a couple years ago? It was a defense that took a step back last year. We'll see if they can take 2 steps forward in 2023. And rounding out here before the top 10 are the Oregon Ducks. Bo Nix is back. He will be quarterbacking Oregon for yet another year. He proved a lot of people wrong last year. He'll look to improve on what he did last year. Could be a sneaky Heisman contender in 2023. Troy Franklin is coming back, and you got a lot of transfers coming in at the wide receiver position. Trayshawn Holden, Tez Johnson. Those are the 2 transfers, and then a couple freshmen waiting back there as well. You got to replace some offensive linemen, but there are some transfers coming in to do that as well. Bucky Irving, Noah Whittington will still lead that running back room. In terms of the defense, well, Jordan Riley, DJ Johnson, gone off of that defensive line. Noah Sewell, that's the big loss for this defense for the Oregon Ducks, as well as Christian Gonzalez and Bennett Williams. They leave off of the defensive back ranks. But taking a look at what they do have, I mean, a lot of transfers coming in on this defense as well. A couple freshmen waiting back there. This is going to be a really experienced defense, according to what our lads has. But look, a lot of transfers coming in. I'll list off a couple of them. Kyrie Jackson, Evan Williams, Justin Jacobs, Jordan Burge. Even a guy by the name of Connor Sowell at the linebacker position can be really good. Masai Funa is coming back. Casey Rogers is coming back. There's a lot of talent on this Oregon team. They're going to be a Pac-12 contender, and make no mistake, it's going to be a really, really good team entering 2023. All right, now we finally break into the top 10, and at number 10 here, I got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. If everything clicks for this Notre Dame team, the Fighting Irish are going to be a fun group to watch here, as Sam Hartman is transferring in to play quarterback for Notre Dame. Of course, quarterback play was one of the big issues for Notre Dame last year. Well, that has been changed as Sam Hartman, one of the more electric quarterbacks in the nation, come in. He does, though, have to play without Michael Mayer, but when you take a look at the wide receiver position, well, Lorenzo Styles comes back. You got 3 talented freshmen coming in. Matt Salerno is a grad student still there. And then Caleb Smith is a redshirt senior transfer that transfers in. But a lot is gone off of this defense, most notably Isaiah Foskey and Brandon Joseph, as well as Bo Bauer. Those are some huge losses, but you want to know what they still do have? Look, Javonte Jean-Baptiste transfers in for this team. You still have JT Bertrand. Cam Hart is there. Harper Thomas still there for this team as well. Or excuse me, I should say Harper Thomas transferring in. Cam Hart, DJ Brown, among some other names still there for this Notre Dame Fighting Irish team. And then you still have Estime and Logan Diggs, as well as Chris Tyree, still back at the running back position. That's a position grouping I had forgot. You got to replace a couple offensive linemen, but not too big of a worry there for the Fighting Irish. This is going to be a fun team to watch in 2023. I think Notre Dame's a top 10 team heading into this year, led by former Wake Forest stud Sam Hartman. LSU in year 1 of Brian Kelly was amazing. And I look for year 2 to be even better. You can make a case for why LSU is a top 5 team. There are just a couple teams I like a little bit better than them. Let's take a look at what they got, right? Jaden Daniels is there returning at quarterback. I know a lot of LSU fans wanted Garrett Nussmeier. Well, Nussmeier is still there too in case Jaden Daniels happens to regress in 2023, which, by the way, I do not think is going to happen. Taking a look at what else, hey, Josh Williams, John Emery, still there at the running back position. When you look at wide receivers, Malik Neighbors is coming back. Keyshawn Boutte and Jeray Jenkins are gone, but Malik Neighbors is coming back. Brian Thomas still there, and then Aaron Anderson is a redshirt freshman that is transferring in to this program. You also have Kyron Lacey, who's a former Ragin' Cajun transfer, coming in as well. Taking a look at this defense, oh boy, you got a lot gone off this defense. I could sit here and list names forever, but some of the more notable ones, B.J. Ojolari, Jaquelin Roy, Ali Gay, Jarek Bernard Converse, my apologies, Mike Jones, Joe Faucha, Jay Ward, again, among some other names. But there are a lot of defensive transfers coming in, most notably Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut in the defensive back grouping, and then Omar Spates transferring in as a linebacker as well. You got some guys still returning to this team, such as Makai Wingo, Greg Brooks, Seven Banks returns for this team as well. This is a really, really talented LSU team that is absolutely one of the contenders in the SEC this year and should be one of the favorites to get a spot in the top 4 in the college football playoff. Let's go ahead and move on to a couple more Pac-12 teams here. Again, the Pac-12, top ranks of the Pac-12 are going to be really, really fun to watch this year, as USC, very close to making the college football playoff last year if it wasn't for the loss to Utah in the conference championship game. But when I take a look at USC this year, I see one of the most talented teams in the country. That is not a question. Caleb Williams returns as the quarterback for this team. The Heisman Trophy winner from last year will look to do it again in 2023. When you take a look at the wide receiver room, okay, yeah, you lose Terrell Bynum, and Jordan Addison is going to be one of the top wide receivers taken in April, as well as Andrew Voorhees, who unfortunately just tore his ACL in the combine. That's what it's called. So best prayers go out to former guard Andrew Voorhees. But Brendan Rice is coming back. Dorian Singer is a transfer coming in, as well as Mario Williams and Taj Washington that return for this team. In the running back room, well, Travis Dye is gone, but Marshawn Lloyd transfers in, and Austin Jones coming back for this team. On the defensive end, you lose a couple guys, most notably Mekhi Blackman and Tui Pelotu. Apologies if I said the name wrong. But again, a lot more transfers coming into this team. Lucas Anthony, Keon Bars, Jack Sullivan on the defensive line. When you take a look at some other guys that are still here, Eric Gentry, Bryson Shaw, Latrell McCutcheon, as well as some other names still there for this USC team. A high-powered offense led by a defense that, well, honestly, we'll see if these transfers work out right. That's been Lincoln Riley's kind of downfall in the past, is whether or not these defensive transfers really work themselves out. We'll see if USC can field a really good defense in 2023. That may be the difference on whether or not they win the Pac-12 and get into the college football playoff. Washington, the Huskies, were a huge surprise team from last year, and I think they're going to be one of the premier teams in the country coming into 2023. With Michael Penix coming back at quarterback, you lose Wayne Talapapa at the running back position, but Dylan Johnson transfers in. You also got Daniel Ngata transferring in, and Cameron Davis still there at the running back position. For your wide receiver position, a lot of experience comes back. Romeo Odunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, Taj Davis, as well as some transfers and freshmen coming in to play wide receiver. On the defensive end, couple names leaving this team: Christopher Mole, Cam Bright, Jordan Perryman. But there's a lot of nice talent still on this team. Edifwan Ulufashia, we'll see if he can finally stay healthy. Couple names in the defensive front there as well. Raylan Goforth is transferring in to play linebacker. Jabbar Muhammad transferring in to play corner. And you still got Asa Turner and a lot of other guys on this defense as well. But led by Michael Penix, we know what he can do when he stays healthy. One of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation. And taking a look at what he has offensively and what this team has defensively, barring that the defense and a lot of the defensive stars can stay healthy, which has been a problem for a couple of them in the past, Washington is going to be one of, if not the favorites, to walk away with a Pac-12 title and could sneak their way in to the college football playoff. Alabama is here at number 6, and to a lot of casual college football fans, that is going to seem low. But I got to be honest, this is the least confident I have been in Alabama in quite some time. And I will tell you why. For starters, they lose absolute stud quarterback Bryce Young, probably going to end up being the number 1 overall draft pick if C.J. Stroud has something to say about it. Jahmyr Gibbs is gone as well as 3 offensive linemen and Cam Latu gone. So they're going to look to Jaden Milroe, Ty Simpson, or freshman Eli Holstein to quarterback this team. I'm going to think it's going to end up being Jalen Milroe, and let's see who he has at wide receivers. Well, you still got Jermaine Burton, Ja'Cory Brooks, and Kobe Prentice there as well. A couple other names waiting in the back. Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams return at the running back position as well. But taking a look at what they have on defense, oh boy, this is a defense that loses a lot of premier talent. Brian Branch, Eli Ricks, DeMarco Helms, Jordan Battle. That's just in the secondary. In the defensive front 7, Henry To'oTo'o, Jalen Moody, Will Anderson, a potential top 3 draft pick, Byron Young, DJ Dale. I mean, just stop. It's too much, right? It's too much. Right, Bama fans? But look, still a lot of talent on this team. Malachi Moore, Kool-Aid McKinstry come back. Deontay Lawson comes back. Justin Jefferson, no, not the Vikings wide receiver, is a transfer linebacker coming in. You still got Tim Smith, who is an absolute beast of a man. A lot of freshmen waiting back there as well, and there's a lot of hype around freshman Caleb Downs. Dallas Turner returns to this team as well. He's going to be a great pass rusher. Justin Eboigi, I probably said that name wrong, so I apologize, but there's still a lot of talent on this Bama team. Don't get me wrong. It's just a huge question of whether or not all the talent is going to live up to the hype. Again, with Bama, it usually does. In year 17 of Nick Saban, we'll see what Alabama has cooked up for the SEC here in 2023. But again, and most people would agree with me in saying this is the least confident I've been in Bama in quite some time. As now we enter the rounds of the top 5. Thanks for sticking with me. I know this is a long video. Penn State is here at number 5. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen coming back. You lose Mitchell Tinsley and Parker Washington, but Dante Cephas transfers in. You still got Keandre Lambert-Smith, Harrison Wallace, and some other names back there as well. The biggest part for this Penn State offense, though, is the quarterback position. Sean Clifford leaves. Drew Aller comes in, and there is a lot of talk Aller, however you say that last name. I'm going to say Aller until I am corrected, so I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. But Drew Aller, there is a lot of hype surrounding him. And the real test to this Penn State season is going to be whether or not Drew Aller is really the guy to lead this Penn State team. Sean Clifford was good. He was really good. Drew Aller is supposed to be better than what Sean Clifford was. We'll see if that is the case for Penn State here in 2023. When you take a look at the defensive side, well, you got some guys out of the secondary gone. Joey Porter, Jair Brown, Jonathan Sutherland, and off the defensive front, Nick Tarberton and PJ Mustipher. But returning, Keziah Izzard comes back, Kobe King, Curtis Jacobs returns, Keaton Ellis, Johnny Dixon, Kevin Winston, Daquan Hardy. There's a lot of talent on this defense as well, and Penn State, make no mistake about it, is going to push Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten East for a spot in the Big Ten championship game and possibly a spot in the college football playoff as well. Again, Penn State still, I think, is a level below where Ohio State and Michigan will be, but that gap is thinning and thinning, especially if Drew Aller can come in and put up numbers like some people expect him to. This Penn State team is going to be fun to watch in 2023. A team that I think is going to be really fun to watch, and a team that clearly, as you see, I am very high on entering the 2023-2024 season, are the Florida State Seminoles. I love what Florida State has. First of all, look at who's returning for this team. Jordan Travis coming back at quarterback. He was phenomenal last year. I think he'll be really good this year as well. Trey Benson's going to end up being their running back. You got a couple tight ends. Jaheim Bell transfers in as well, does Kyle Morlock. And look at what they have in the wide receiver position. Yes, you lose Ontario Wilson, but Ja'Kai Douglas, Winston Wright, Deuce Spann, and the starters, Darian Williamson, Johnny Wilson, and Micah Pittman, as well as a freshman in Hakeem Williams that looks to prove that he is a great piece to this Florida State team. When you take a look at the defensive side of things, well, they get the best transfer corner from this class in Fentrell Cypress, to come and replace Jamie Robinson, who has gone off this team. Other than that, though, this is a team that returns a lot. Braden Fisk is transferring in, and it's a team that returns Derek McClendon and Jared Verse, who probably are going to be 2 NFL draft picks next year. When you look at the linebacking group, yeah, Tatum Bethune is coming back, as well as Kalen DeLoach as well. DJ Lundy waiting back there. And then the rest of the defensive backs to pair with Fentrell Cypress, Shaheem Brown, Renardo Green, Jarian Jones. I mean, this team is uber talented. I love this Florida State roster. I love this Florida State team. I think Mike Norvell and Florida State are your favorites in the ACC. And right now, guys, when you take a look at the top 4, these are the 4 teams I have making the college football playoff. I'll say that right now because I have never been more confident in a 4-team playoff sitting here in the month of March. I do believe that the 4 teams I have ranked 1 through 4 are your 4 teams that will be making the college football playoff. That is just my opinion. Let's bust into the top 3. And I think clearly these are the top 3 teams in the nation in this particular order. Number 3 are the only Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, Ohio State has a major question mark, right? CJ Stroud is gone. He's going to be one of the top picks in the NFL draft, right? So he is gone, as well as some offensive linemen like DeJuan Jones, Paris Johnson, and Luke Whippler. There are guys that are going to fill those gaps. I think Ohio State's offensive line is not the problem here. I don't necessarily see a problem on this Ohio State team. When you look at the running back room, everyone's back. Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams, and Dallin Hayden. When you look at the wide receiver room, everyone's back, minus Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he only played in 3 games last year. Marvin Harrison, who's the best wide receiver in college football. Julian Fleming, Emeka Egbuka, Xavier Johnson, freshman Brandon Ennis is coming back. Jaden Ballard, that's the best wide receiver room in the country, in my opinion. But the question mark remains. Who is that quarterback? It'll be Kyle McCord and Devin Brown who are going to battle it out for that starting spot. And honestly, I've heard this analogy being thrown around a lot, and I like it, so I'll say it here. Ohio State, whoever ends up playing quarterback, has been given the keys to the Lamborghini, the Bugatti, whatever $250,000 car you can think of. All they have to do is keep it on the road. Meaning that if it's Devin Brown or Kyle McCord or even Treston Jebbia, who transferred in from Oregon State, that will lead this Buckeye team in 2023, I think it's going to end up being Kyle McCord. He doesn't have to be spectacular. He doesn't have to be a Heisman contender because of what's around him. This offense with an average quarterback is good enough to make the college football playoff. There are just that many playmakers on it. When you take a look at the Buckeye defense, though, you got Zach Harrison, Jerron Cage, and Taron Vincent gone off the defensive line. Josh Proctor, Cam Brown, Tanner McAllister, Ronnie Hickman will leave that secondary. But this is going to be a really experienced defense this year. JT Tui Malowau, Tyleek Williams, and Jack Sawyer are going to lead, as well as Ty Hamilton. You got Jack Sawyer, Steele Chambers coming back, and then a secondary led by Denzel Burke, Lathan Ransom, and transfer Jahad Carter coming over from Syracuse. That's a huge boost to that team, and they got some other transfers coming in as well. They also got a transfer over from Ole Miss. His name escaping my mind as of right now, but he is coming in to boost this Buckeye secondary as well. But the key to this team, I think this defense has the chance to be an elite level defense in 2023. But for the offense, whoever plays quarterback, keep the car on the road. That's all you got to do. Michigan is here at number 2, and I think this is one of the front runners, if not the front runner, to go win a national title in 2023. I love what Michigan has, and you guys see the color that I am wearing here. Yep, we can be unbiased on this channel. I love what Michigan has this year. J.J. McCarthy comes back. Blake Corum announced he's coming back, as well as Donovan Edwards still back there as well. You lose Ronnie Bell, but look at who you have. Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, A.J. Henning coming back as well. Really, really talented guys on the offensive end. And even though you do lose some guys out off the offensive line, you got transfers Drake Nugent to fill in at center and Ladarius Henderson to fill in at left tackle. When you take a look at this defense for Michigan, yeah, okay, you lose DJ Turner, you lose Mozzie Smith, you lose Mike Morris. All right, but look at who you have coming back. Michael Barrett is coming back. Mike Sainer still back at the nickel back position. Will Johnson, German Green, Junior Colson, Jalen Harrell, Chris Jenkins, Braden McGregor, and a transfer over from Nebraska in Ernest Hausman, as well as Josiah Stewart transferring in as well. And I could list so many more names off of this roster as well that I absolutely love. If I got to be honest right now, sitting here right now, I think Michigan wins the national title in 2023. But again, it's March, way too early to predict. I'm also sitting here saying I know the 4 playoff teams, but again, never too early to predict college football, right? I absolutely love what Michigan has this year. You get Ohio State in the Big House this year again, and that's going to be the matchup right there, right? Michigan and Ohio State, along with Penn State, are going to be leading the ranks in the Big Ten this year. Those are the 3 teams really excited to watch out of that conference, especially the top 2 right here at number 2 and number 3. I think you're going to compete for playoff spots again and meet with undefeated records in the game again. That is going to be phenomenal. But back to Michigan. Love what this Michigan team has. This team is uber talented. They return a lot from last year, and I think they're going back to the college football playoff. But the number 1 team in the nation, even with how much production they're losing, as of right now, are the Georgia Bulldogs in my mind. Look, 2 straight national titles. I don't necessarily follow the pattern of you have to put the reigning national champion at number 1. I don't follow that. I just truly believe that Georgia's still the best team in college football. You got Rara Thomas, Dominic Lovett transferring in. Arian Smith is still there. Ladd McConkey, that's your wide receiver room. In your running back room, Kendall Milton, Dejon Edwards are 2 phenomenal backs. And I think Carson Beck, we know what Stetson Bennett was, right? I think Carson Beck is going to be fantastic. And even though you're losing Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers is still there. He's the best tight end in all of college football. On the defensive end, this is where things might get a little dicey because you lose Nolan Smith, Keely Ringo, Christopher Smith, and Jalen Carter. But taking a look at what is still here, right? Just lots of great talent. Marvin Jones, Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bullard, Bear Alexander, Nazir Stackhouse, Chaz Chambliss, Smail Mondon, and a butt ton of freshmen that are waiting back there. Tyke Smith is there as well. Darius Smith, Warren Brinson, Mikael Williams, right? This is still, I believe, one of, if not the best defenses in the country heading into next season, right? This is a very, very talented Georgia team. It's a team that I think should be favored to win the SEC again. It's a team that, as of right now, I have winning the SEC again. Georgia is phenomenal. Okay, wow, that was a lot, I know. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Wow, 45 minutes, huh? It's good to be back. I felt like talking for a long time. There was my top 25. Please let me know your guys' top 25 in the comment section below. And hey, just for fun, let me know the 4 teams you have making the college football playoff. Mine, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State, with Penn State, LSU, Washington, USC, Bama just on the outside. It's going to be an exciting 2023, 2024. I'm excited to be back making content for you guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Thank you all for watching. I'm back, and college football is right around the corner. Goodbye.